Well, first off, I don't believe in job security, right? There are plenty of cases where people with 20 years of experience get fired. There are plenty of cases where companies go above and beyond and people quit, right? Job security is a myth. This is the very first thing that I really want to kind of really clarify, because some people, kind of one of the reasons why startups look so sexy is that people are really bored and disappointed, especially in corporations, because corporations, like the more employees you have, the less you know who works for you, right? People have literally, spoken to HR departments in kind of large corporations. They know people by numbers. It's like employees 17,361, right? Like we just get a list of 700 numbers to lay off tonight, right? So the larger the corporation, the harder it is to actually, care about people and do things about people, right? The smaller companies and startups and so forth, they actually care more about people most of the time, but there's also less job security because everything can kind of curse the company. So that's why it's kind of somewhere in between. Also, large organizations, oftentimes, even if you care about management, there's usually a board and investors and other people who are dictating the rules, right? So you're actually talking to people who have bosses. Even if you talk to the CEO or the CTO or whomever, they actually have bosses. They have the board and investors and other people, or they're preparing for acquisition and so forth. So the reason it's a tricky question is really job security is a myth. Now, I'm not saying that like the first moment you receive an offer, you should go there. That's definitely not it, because I also don't believe in job hopping. Job hopping sucks, right? Whenever I see someone who worked 3 jobs in the past year, like there's no chance I'm going to hire that person, right? It's unlikely that every company sucked or they kicked him out or something else happened, right? It's unlikely. It's probably someone who's problematic or like underperforming, or someone who is theoretically job hopping, and this is going to be like the first company they're job hopping at, right? So, and the other thing is I've also spoken to businesses like other agency owners as well and so forth, and like some of them, like they say, hey, like we know that people achieve their kind of they reach their full potential at the end of the 3rd year on the job, right? Like especially at larger companies, larger meaning like 50 to 100 people, there's so much to understand about the business, about dynamics, different departments. You need to go through several projects, work with several teams, understand kind of what works in what case and what doesn't, understand the best practices. Like when you go through like 5 projects, 3 or 4 of them are going to have something in common that it is deemed success. Or like if you do something in 3 projects and it's deemed bad, so it's a bad thing. So your deduction skills get developed over time, and you just need time to learn and develop that, right? You don't become a bodybuilder in 6 months. You don't become a great writer in 6 months. You don't become a great driver in 6 months, right? You need years. And it's not just about the hard skill. It's about the dynamics of the company, the industry, the clients, the team, the processes, everything else, right? So in that case, like even if, back to kind of the original question, even if leadership changes, like there are different cases. Sometimes leadership is wrong. Sometimes leadership is right. Sometimes leadership isn't conveying the full story, for good or bad, right? They like leadership is working full time, understanding the story, understanding the market, understanding market conditions and competition and the job market and investment opportunities, and like lots of they can spend 10 hours a day exploring that and then spending 10 hours a day debriefing that to every single individual, right? That's not how business works. Like it just isn't. So different reasons. Sometimes the direction is wrong. Sometimes it's the right direction, but there may be disagreement with different people. Sometimes it takes a few months to get to a place where everyone's happy. So it's just kind of a rebuilding phase or restructuring phase.